Well, good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending upon where you are from any parts of this grand planet that we're walking around on. I would like to welcome each and every one of you to our weekly ASEA team meeting call. My name is Doug Hallock. My wife is Beth Watson. We've been on this journey for about 2 months now, and we were introduced to ASEA by a good friend of ours, Darlene, good friend.
Darlene
Dozier, there we go. When you're on the spot and on the camera, your brain goes away. So that's why we need to use the ASEA mind, as Jerry was saying. So we've got some great guests and some great testimonials today. We got involved in and Darlene came over and introduced us to ASEA, taking it internally and putting it on her wound. And it's unbelievable how quickly that wound not only healed, but completely covered over, and how it is actually going away. She's about 2 months out from that surgery, and she's back up on her feet, and her wound she's been cleared to even go hot tubbing. So that's pretty amazing. As far as myself, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I used to have this back part of my head. People would think that I should be wearing a collar because I look like a monk. So yes, thank you, Jerry. So I've been putting it on the back of my, trying to be a bald spot, and it has filled in quite nicely. We should do some before and after pictures as best we can. And then I had a thumbnail that would just constantly split and into the quick, and it'd just be sore and just a nuisance. So I just put a little ASEA on the cuticle and up underneath the nail, and that thing doesn't split anymore. So it's really just, who'd have thought, you know? So with that, I think we have everybody. See Elaine and Karen. And so I'd like to turn this meeting over to Ruth, and she's going to introduce us to a video and then to our wonderful speakers for this evening. So welcome, sit back, enjoy, take notes, ask questions. Ruth?
Yeah, so I'd like to introduce and welcome everyone to watch this short video. It's about 7 minutes, and it's about the technology, about this amazing biotech company that tells about redox, and it's a game-changing technology. So,
Oops,
welcome.
go back.
Yeah.
Hold on, we're
Okay.
going there.
I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. Took a degree from the University of Utah. Managed some stores for Safeway, and then ended up going to work for General Foods Corporation. I was asked to sit on the board of a small company that had been working on a technology for about 15 years. Numerous patents, a lot of research, and they were actually producing a product using salt and water. And when they told me that, they wanted me to go on their board. I said, well, you're going to have to convince me that this is real. How can you produce something from salt and water? And they said, we have a lot of research, extensive research, $10 or $15 million worth of research.
Virtus agreed to join the board of directors.
So I went to the first board meeting and found out that they were flat out of money. They were $1 million in debt. We said, let's see if we can help them find money. We tried for about 90 days, could not. Eventually the company folded, and they actually merged it with another company, an energy company. When that happened, that company started selling off assets. And I said, I am going to put a group of investors together, and I'm going to take a run at the company. And over the course of a year, we discovered what the product was and why it worked. We developed what's called the mechanism of action.
They discovered the product was based on redox biochemistry, a new field of science that emerged near the beginning of the 21st century. Redox signaling is a function central to all forms of life. Redox signaling molecules are created within every cell of the body and are vital to the immune system and to cellular repair and replace mechanisms. As one gets older, the body's ability to make these molecules decreases, a function of aging. The product, provided a replenishing source of the exact redox signaling molecules the body creates, and in the same balance, enhancing cellular health. Knowing the product's shelf life was essential, Virtus challenged a team of researchers, including Dr. Gary Samuelson, to find a way to stabilize the product.
And finally, after months, he finally came in and said, I think I've got the product stabilized. And we started testing it and found out that he had, in fact, stabilized the product.
After stabilization had been achieved, Virtus met with a group of university scientists.
This is stabilized redox signaling molecules, both positive and negative molecules in the same bottle, stabilized. And they said, how in the world did you do this? So one of the big breakthroughs is the fact that we could stabilize molecules that you're not supposed to be able to do that. The molecules in the ASEA are supposed to be fleeting. They should all return to salt and water in just a matter of minutes, and they don't. So we decided to find 40 people and create kind of a focus group, and we started giving it to them. We did that for about 2 months. We said, let's go out and find out where we are with these 40 people. So when we went out and contacted them, we found out that the 40 people had turned into 135, and the product had been shipped to 20 different countries. But in the meantime, we had contacted a friend, and he was running a very big pharmaceutical company in New Jersey, about $10–11 billion. And he finally agreed to send a group of people out and spend some time with us and see what we had come up with. So 4 people flew out on a plane. We spread all of the research that we had out on the table. They started getting on the phone about noon back east, and they kept doing that. And about 2 o'clock, they walked in the room and said, okay, we're convinced you've got something here. And it's significant enough that we will write you a check big enough that you won't want to talk to anybody else. And I said, what's the catch? And they said, you've got to shut it down. And I said, shut what down? And they said, you've got 135 people on this product right now. Shut it down. People have problems all the time, and they deal with them as best they can. You're going to have to walk away. And that kind of took us back a little bit. In fact, I said, that seems a little harsh to me. And they said, you want to work with us, you walk away.
ASEA LLC opened its doors for business in July 2009, with just a handful of independent associates. Today, there are tens of thousands, and their ranks are growing exponentially every month. In 2012, the company announced its entry into Europe, the first of many international steps to come.
My wife questions why I'm doing this. She said, you've retired more than once, and it's time for you to join me, and let's enjoy the golden years, if you will. But recently, a young lady came up, and she broke down and started sobbing. And she had a health challenge in her family that was really severe. And she was introduced to ASEA. And because of what ASEA did, she was just grateful. So I find it hard to talk about, but that's a reason.
As I was listening to Virtus, I'm just thinking of the incredible people that have brought ASEA to us. And Virtus is top of the list. What a wonderful, wise man. I've been privileged to know Jim Glenn since he started ASEA. I didn't know him when he was really hurting, but I did get acquainted once he had his backstory and how he was getting his life back. And then I saw him go on this journey of being so excited and wanting to share with people and not quite knowing how, and asking so many questions and getting out there and doing it and doing it and doing it. And it's changed his life. Jim, I want to welcome you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight, and just share from your heart what this has meant to you, from not having as much pain to where you are right now.
Well, thank you, Marian. It's a blast to be able to do this. I love doing it. Just got done doing it, and I'm traveling home. About a 2-hour drive. I do this meeting every Tuesday, sharing the exact same story. But I've been on the product now 7 years, and it was through my best friend who approached me with this. Again, a little under 7 years ago, but named Robert Potter, and his son was playing football at Baylor at the time. Between his freshman sophomore year, they come home and they go on a family cruise to Alaska. And the first night on the ship, Chase, the 18-year-old, got really sick, and he had contracted a viral infection on the cruise ship. And within 2 to 3 days, he's almost dead.
Wow.
And they had to air vac him to Seattle, $70,000 ambulance flight to Seattle. And the first night there, they told him that he would not wake up. And he was paralyzed above the waist. We're praying people. The power of prayer, the virus stopped, but the damage was done. The kid was paralyzed above his waist. After 30 days, they got him home. Dad goes on just a crazy search looking for something to help. They contact a couple people, and through a couple people, they knew Jerry White. And Jerry White talked to the dad. Can it hurt my son? Nope, no toxicity. 2, is there anything that it could maybe do for him? I don't know, let's give it a shot type response back. And again, Chase was completely paralyzed above his waist. His arms were by his side. He could not move his arms, but maybe an inch from his side. And I don't know exactly how much ASEA he was drinking or the Renew, but within 5 months, like I like to reiterate, not 5 minutes, not 5 days, not 5 weeks, but 5 months, Chase, who was told, by the way, he would die, that he would not survive because the paralysis would start affecting his vital organs, he was able to put his arms up and over his head. And it's been an 8-year journey. And today he's living totally independent, graduated from Baylor, top of his class, and he's got his life back. Well, when Robert, his dad, called me up after the 5 months, Robert called me up. He came over to my home, which was very unlike him to do that. And I've had 10 lower back surgeries. I've had 6 levels fused in my lower back. My 10th surgery, they put a stimulator in my back. I was addicted to pain pills. I was taking 500 pills a month. I was on one medication for discomfort for 25 years. I was on another medication for nerve damage in my left thigh for about 7 or 8 years. And I was on 2 other medications for the nerve damage, as well as the seasonal breathing problem stuff, especially in this neck of the woods that we always deal with sniffling issues. So I get on this material, and literally within 3 months, I'm 100% med free. Within a very short period of time, the discomfort in my back was gone. And again, 3 months, 0 medication, really have not, besides a couple of issues with maybe a small bout of the recent viral thing going around. I may or may not have had that. I won't get tested, but I haven't been sick. I haven't been to the doctor in 7 years. I'm now 64. I've got my life back. But I'll never forget the day when Robert Potter was sharing this with me, and I'm watching him do the balance test, the core strength test that Jerry White's coached us with. And I'm just sitting back. I'm an ex-stockbroker. I was a broker for 30 years, doing financial planning, estate planning. And I'm just sitting. I used to do a lot of what's called IPOs, initial public offerings. And I'll never forget just sitting back and just going, okay, if this stuff is real, then this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. And even 3 years into our journey with ASEA, we still almost went bankrupt. I jumped out of doing my other job a little bit too quick. My wife was doing advertising. We had no heart for what we were doing. Our heart was with ASEA, but I will say we probably jumped in a little bit too quick. But within a matter of, the last 3 to 4 years, we have grown because of my mentor who's on this call right now with Jerry White, and me finally listening to him and connecting with other people. We've been able to achieve the rank of double diamond. That there's no way I would have been able to do this without Jerry and Marcia and Terry Latham. So now we're still very aggressive, growing our business. We see the future with this company and the technology to be unlimited. And so we are still rapidly growing our team. We're doing in-person meetings. We live Zoom them, and we're just going to grow and blow. So anything else you want me to add, or any questions, whatever you want to do from here?
Marian, you're muted.
Well, what might life have been like had your friend not shared ASEA with you?
Marian, I tell people 7 years ago, I had no hope. I had lost my job as a broker in a bank. I did nothing wrong. And that's the corporate world. They don't care. I'm not trying to say they're a bunch of cold-hearted SOBs, but unfortunately, the majority of corporate America, especially today, they don't care. And so I was honestly scared to death of growing older. At the time, I was 58 years young. We had no money in the bank. I mean, we got so desperate probably 4.5+ years ago, we didn't have any money to buy a hot water heater. So during that winter, our winters here in San Antonio are not like your winters there, but we can still get down into the 20s, and we didn't have a hot water heater. And so I was having to use a crock pot, literally a crock pot in the bathroom, heat up the water for 20, 30 minutes. And I would pick up the thing and put it in the shower, and then mix that with the cold water coming out of the shower to take my showers. So we had no money in the bank. We had no savings. We had nothing. And I shudder at the thought of where would I be today? I don't know. That's a God question. I know God would have taken care of us, but I used to advise people as a financial planner, as an estate planner, especially people our ages, or in their 50s and late 40s, frankly, if they don't have any money saved, it's really too late to start if you're in your 40s and 50s to save enough money to be worth anything, to get the compounding effect of your dollar. It's just about impossible to do anything without having to maybe set aside, $5,000, $10,000 a month. But with what we're able to make now, what we're making today monthly, I ran the numbers a while back. I would have to save like $30,000 to $40,000 a month for 10 years, drawing 1% out to equate what we would need, what we're making today. Those numbers may be off. I wrote those down a while back, but I don't know where I would be. So my mission, frankly, Marian, is to reach out to other people that are my age, and like I will say, older or younger. But I'm a younger on the side of baby boomers. But I've met with too many people recently that go, they're on Social Security. They don't have any other source of income. And, they're stretching every dollar, especially now with the inflation doing what it's doing. And I go, well, what are you going to do when your check runs out, your income runs out, and you're, only 3/4 of the way through the month? I said, if you're willing to look at an answer for that issue, we will help you. But you're going to have to be open-minded. You may have to be willing to change, but we have a solution. Like I could never offer someone that, if I would have come to me, Marian, when I was at 58 years old, if I would have visited me as a broker, well, Jim, what are your assets? Nothing. How much money can you save a month? Nothing. Well, you better have your health because you're never going to be able to retire. And my retirement plan was me.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could not work, I don't know. Call the kids and say, okay, guys, build me a little thing. I'll if I have to stay in one room, Ann and I shudder to think where I would be, but I know God's in control. He would have provided, but I don't like thinking about that. I try to stay upbeat and positive. I can only change what I can change. So therefore, I do not watch the news. I used to do that every day. That was my life for 30 years, is keeping up with the markets. And I don't like thinking about those things because I can't control it. I'm going to control the controllables and turn the rest over to God.
One of the things that I was impressed with, Jim, would you say most of your people who are in your group were good friends before, or did you meet them, and how did you meet them?
Yeah, no. Because of my past as a broker, I did not have anybody really I could call on. So I did not have a full list of people to go draw on with my past experience as a broker. So almost every person that we have signed up has been what we met out cold calling. We call it door polling. I would go to see someone and would schedule an appointment. Like this one guy was a pastor, about a half an hour, 45 minutes away from San Antonio. I went there. He wasn't interested. So I had a lady actually from my church, one of our retirees, that joined me. And we just started literally going up and down. I love going to small towns around where we live. And then we literally go talk to business owners. Hey, by the way, hey, my name's Jim Glenn. I live in San Antonio. I've got a really crazy question to ask you, but, we have a new technology. We're going to be doing a meeting here in your town. Don't know where or when, but, I've got a technology that we're looking for entrepreneurially minded people that potentially have a health issue or they have a financial issue that they would like help with. Another silly question, but do you have anybody here that has any level of discomfort? And then we would start applying gel to people. And we came across towards the end of the day, one guy that had done ASEA 5 years earlier. He got his issue addressed and he quit, and he ended up having a major stroke probably a year after he stopped taking ASEA, and he signed up on the spot with an entrepreneurial package. And then from that, and then I actually did a 3-way call with Jerry White, and we actually applied the material to the guy that was limited to his wheelchair. And Jerry coached me on how to apply the gel to the gentleman. And he took a couple of steps with assistance, but he had not been able to do that before. So when you go out and show the gel to people and it works, and now we have cell performance, Marian, we are all about being in front of people. I know there's some places where you can't do that. We never really shut down here in Texas. So I just did a meeting in Corpus Christi, 2 hours away. We're doing a meeting tomorrow in another small town north of San Antonio, 30,000 people. But we just go and just start talking to business owners. And then you end up finding people that want to do something, then you start developing them. And so we've been doing that now for 7 years. But no, the majority of all of our people came from strangers, people that we met through meeting people. We met Don Lynn Dominguez through a guy that was a waiter, up in Texas, in Dallas. And then he signed up someone, she signed up Don Lynn. And then I kept pestering Don Lynn till she finally said yes. And her story is phenomenal. And so when you start realizing, like with her, she would be dead if it wasn't for ASEA. And so we share Jesus Christ. That's our number one mission in life. But God gave this to us to go also share it, to give people hope and to give them the best life possible for the balance of their life. And we just love what we do.
Are there other questions that people have?
So Jim, I'm wondering, how much of the redox do you drink? I mean, when you were on your journey, what did that look like for you?
Day one, I drank 8 ounces. When I got my product, I immediately drank 8 ounces, and literally the next day I felt it. I was doing 8 ounces really up until probably the last year to 2 years, and for no reason, but now I'm doing 14. And then I do the facial care. We love the new facial care. My wife is a nutrition coach, and so we love all the nutritional products that we have. So we sometimes even double up on Via and on Omega. I don't have a gallbladder, so my wife being the nutrition coach. So we do all the nutraceuticals, and now with the Cell Performance, since we got back from Vegas, I've lost 13 pounds.
Wow.
I don't know. My wife will attribute it to energy and mood. She says, and then I was listening to Alan Noble talk to the developer of the Cell Performance, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's something in there that boosts up your ATP, or it causes your ATP to start burning more of the fat instead of the sugars. So I don't know, but I really haven't changed anything else that I've done but take Cell Performance. So, I'm on my way home. I got up early this morning. We did a walk in the morning. But I haven't changed much of anything else. So we're having great results with it. So I will even double up on the energy to cause that ATP to pick up a little bit more. Because I need to lose about another 20 pounds.
Well, you're looking good.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
So
You guys are as well, but I appreciate your invitation, Marian.
well, this is so special. I've been wanting to have you visit on our Zoom for some time, and we're just privileged to know you. And if it's all right, we'd like to have Ann come and share sometime in the future
Sure.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the middle of going through a custody issue, trying to get a guardian issue with her dad, so she may be kind of swamped. That's going to be going to court here, hopefully pretty quick. So she might be a little bit on the busy side coming up in the next couple of months, but we'll work it in.
Okay, good.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet. Thank you. God bless.
Marian,
I'm
you
waiting
want
to
me
pass it.
Okay, yeah, I'll pass it over to Jerry. Jerry is our Papa Bear leader. He is the one who introduced it to me and has, as Jim said, been his mentor. What I love about Jerry is that he's so wise. When I first heard about it, I knew, okay, if he knows about this and it's tested his research, that it was going to be safe and good. But more than that, whenever anyone is with Jerry, they feel better about themselves and about life, because he always finds the best in a person and makes that shine. And so as our teacher, mentor, Yoda, as you sometimes say, we're just really honored to have Jerry. So would you just wrap it up for us tonight and tell us the vision that you see and how people can join us if they like?
Well, thank you. Just imagine I get to hang around with friends like this on a day-to-day basis. In my life, I was very similar to Jim in the fact that at 58 years old, didn't have anything going that was looking prosperous or hopeful in the future. In many, many ways, we had problems trying to get that all to work. And it's been the greatest blessing of our lifetime. Ultimately, because we get a chance to work with a bunch of people we love and care about, making a much bigger difference together than we could ever make by ourselves. and really working on the sense of justice. It says in the good book that if a man will not work, let him not eat. But it also says those diligent hands, if you keep at it and make a difference and just be who you were meant to be. You know, he said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And life comes in a lot of different ways. And so as we look at ASEA, you've heard some stories, you're going to have to check it out. I mean, these things are fascinating stories. They touch your heart. They say, if this is possible, what can it do to help me? And that's the first question we always ask people to try to check with on themselves is, if you could get yourself out of the way. And usually there's three things that really have people blocked out. Number one is time. Another one is your health. And a third is finances. But most now recently, there's been this disconnection where we really need each other. What if we could combine working on all four areas and find a way to make it so efficient that we take care of ourselves and we're not the point anymore? So once we're not the point anymore, then we move to what number 5, little point that I had in my own life was saying, you know, if we go after this at the age of 58, go from here, what would we want? And one of the things that always got in the way of me saying the differences that I want to make in this world, particularly being present when I'm at home with the family, it was always a time issue. Finances were worse than I thought because in my family, Marcia took care of the finances. I just put them in, I let her cash the checks and do with what she would. And I was kind of oblivious to the fact that we were messed up big time. But the last part for me was I just needed to make enough money to be done with money. So when the time came along for that time and money were involved or in the way, they just go away. And then we can make the difference that we really wanted to make. So imagine yourself hearing about this before anybody else has. If you go out and ask 1,000 people on the street, they just don't know that it exists yet. But it is incredible what's about to happen, where we take the human body and break it down into the simplest part, the cells, and those cells can now adapt and understand what's happening in the world and then change it. And change it in a way that's much more like it was when you were young. What if every single cell in your body could start to react more like it was when you were very young, even back into the embryo? It would be the greatest discovery of all time. And then we get ourselves out of the way, and you heard some amazing stories, and they'll give you some a website to go look at more and to listen to more things. Say, what if this is true? Well, that's where we provide a few options. First option is people just love to hear about some hope out there. And that hope comes from people gathering together. So as we do, any two minds that come together make a greater mind. It's a bigger, stronger. And as we work together, we realize that we can make a huge difference. We're moving toward where community is going to be one of the most important things. Because when we're disconnected, when you don't have any control over anything and you watch politics and all that sort of stuff, you just get a feeling of helplessness. Let's change that. Let's gather together as a community and make a big difference. So first is to save yourself, get healthy. Then there's a group of people in the family. Sometimes the health problems are all around the family. Sometimes they're in one particular individual, and it's compromising the effectiveness you can have in the world outside yourself. Get that taken care of. This surprising other twists to this game and this technology. This is a liquid that you can drink. It's something you apply to the skin as well. And now we have nutritional support that goes along with them that works synergistically. We work with the second organ, the largest organ in your body, which is your skin. And to be able to do things that have never been done before, aside from when you were in the embryo building the body in the first place. And now we have these targeted approaches that Jim was talking about, where you have a little tube with a powder in it. You put it into a drink and shake it up, and you can address some of the most poignant issues in your day. the energy that you go on. It can change in a couple of minutes, but change in a way that's not forcing and stealing from your life vital energy. It's just providing you with the resources that allow the system to work the way it was designed to work. And guess what? For most people, working like your body should work is way above where they are working. And that provides a lot more get up and go. The second part is that whole thing about mood. And in my case, I discovered just 2 days ago, I was overwhelmed and extremely anxious about too doggone many things that I had started. It's springtime and I'm a farmer and I'm trying to get ready and it's always freezing outside and I've got all kinds of stuff to prepare the gardens out there and to clean up around the creek and get the trees in the right order. And I mean, it's got a lot of stuff. Then I got a business that's going crazy because people like people and are making a difference. And this thing is exploding. It kind of gave me more time. So I've got to be a little more careful because I'm spending that time like, yeah, I've got a bunch of grandkids and I'm building this 60 acres that we have into a cousin camp. And there's little spots all over that cousin camp that are named after each one of those little grandkids that are coming along. So I'm known as Gruffy in the family, and I'm building Pirate Island. And we've got my oldest granddaughter's name is Flory Nash. And so we've got this little turn in the creek down below that's it's got little trout swimming in it, and a big overhanging canopy, and it's kind of a secret garden type of place, and we call it Flory National Park. And then Huddy is my young grandson, and we got the Huddy hole, the fishing hole. So all of these things are on the plate, and then I'm helping my son. He's rebuilding, or he's building up an unfinished basement in a new house he bought. Because guess what? That's going to pay 75% of his mortgage as a new married family, paid for by renters in the basement. So we're making that thing into a full-on living thing. But I'm spending more time doing that. And then it rains and his basement leaks. I mean, and I'm finally kind of like, okay, wait a second. Too many things going on. We had so much travel and trips and stuff we were going to do. I got anxious. I mean, I was wired up. And I don't know about you, but when I get too anxious, too spread out, and too many things, Marcia goes, show me your list. And I've got this list that's like 3 or 4 pages long. No hope that I'm ever going to get through all of that in a list. Expecting that I need to get it all done in one day. Can you feel the anxious? It's just like oversubscribed. I took that mood, and crazy about 10 minutes later, I'm kind of humming, and I'm just going click, 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 just start knocking things. I got like 5 times what's done in the day because I wasn't worried about this one connects to that one, connects to that one. It was just picking up and going for it. It just cleared that whole anxiety out of it. So it's getting to be one of my favorites. And the last one is this to focus your attention in your mind. That's an untapped frontier. I've always wondered, what would it be like if you could be 4 hours a week completely focused on something that really mattered to you, instead of going squirrel, that kind of stuff all the time. And so this then really pulls that together. The combination of them is killer. So when we have all this together, we go, okay, now we're preparing ourselves to go out and do the next option. And that's, some people will just want to take this technology just to live a greater life and to be a bigger presence in your family and to make a bigger difference. Got a spot for you right here. Sign up and line up and let's go. But then there's that group that says, once we get done with problems, how do we move toward excellence? How do we move toward the best that we can become? So we then gather together in groups and work on bigger projects to overtake larger market spaces, to make a difference in people's lives, and to create what we call the experiential age, where life moves away from being inside of computer screens to really living again. And that's the last little part. Horizons are absolutely amazing. Gather together with the people you brought here. And this group has got a heartbeat. It's like a little baby the size. My daughter's right now pregnant with her third, and her little son, who's only 2, every time they meet somebody, he says, size of a lemon. My little baby is, my mom's baby is the size of a lemon. Next time we're right now at the size of an avocado. I mean, that's the thing that they really focus on. Here comes another one. And this group feels so much like that. Growth has begun. And just like the greatness of seeds, you can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the apples in a seed. This group has begun to grow, to develop those new fruits, to develop an entire new leg of this, to catch up and start to really infect the world with something positive. And if you start hanging around a bunch of positive people doing positive things, making a positive difference and getting a lot of great feedback for it, people are going to look at you like you got 3 heads at first, because they don't see people except for frowners all the time. They go, let me in, let me in, let me in. And that's the last option. We'd like to just kind of leave the door open for you. And I'll finish that out by passing it back and saying, if you want to play, I got to think of one of the great orators of our time who finally said, we'll leave the light on for you. Back to you.
Thank you, Jerry. I love how you share what the options are with all the people. And I just want to acknowledge to people that whoever's invited you to watch the video later or to be here tonight, reach out to them and they will help you with those next steps. And so what I'd like to invite you now is to join us tomorrow, May 11th at 3:30 Pacific time, where we're going to be having a guest speaker, Megan Hall. And the title of her talk is Encouraging Others to Find Joy. Megan lives in a small town in Georgia, and she homeschools her children. In her spare time, she's building an at-home business where she shares and educates people about the breakthrough products that have blessed her family. So I invite you to come and learn about joy with Megan and our group tomorrow. Thanks for being with us tonight.